So my name is Rod. First, how do we turn this on? It has a green light. Okay, so it's on. All right. So does it help? The other one is not. Yeah, it's muted there. I think. Wait, does this one work? No? Okay, now. So does that help? I've been told I have a soft voice, so I'll just ignore this and use this one. My name is Roger Shipman, and before we begin, let me introduce myself this way. I have 6 brothers, and my son and I both have 8 sisters. That makes me the 12th of 15 kids. There were 17 in my family. I'm used to handling big crowds. We usually have more people at my house for Christmas than are here today. So in the gatherings that I'm used to, it's impossible to have only one person speak at a time. It just doesn't work. There's too much going on. And I'm noted for speaking quietly and maybe going on a bit long and tend to forget what I'm saying if I don't. So if you have a question, ask right away. Wave or something and get Samantha's attention and she'll get mine, something. I'd rather do it in the middle than later. 3 more things about me. I'm an editor, which means I work with words along with their implications, not just spelling, although I'm incredibly good at that, but to choose them wisely and make maximal impact. And I'm reading because I wrote this all out because I don't speak all that often. One thing about speaking or writing is in a sentence, a paragraph, a chapter, or a presentation, the point most to be remembered is best made last. And the second most important one made first. But it's not inflexible. In some documents, there's an exception, and I'll come back to that. I'm also the chair of the Constitution Party of Oregon. The Constitution is very important to me, as I hope it is to you. Moreover, as chair of the party, I have a great privilege. Twice for each election, I can request the statewide list of the voter rolls at no cost to me or the organization. If only I could do it the day before an election, the day after, that'd be awesome, because that's when it most matters. But most importantly, I'm a Christian. This last is most important. I'm a follower of Christ. Beyond that, I'm an editor, and oh yes, also the chair of a party. I say these because this will all be applicable. The Constitution for the United States of America is a document that breaks the usual rule. It's how the Constitution begins that is significant. It begins, "We the people for the United States of America." The people made the Constitution. Most significant in this case is the first word, we. The most important point for me is that I follow Jesus. When I first registered to vote in 1980, I registered Republican because my values are and always have been Republican. But when in 1999, someone handed me a flyer that started, "Due to our unshakable faith in Jesus Christ, we established the Constitution Party," I stopped them and said, "Sign me up. And then let me read the rest and find out what this is about." Because that's the part that matters. I began gathering signatures to create the party, joined up to serve it, became a county chair, twice ran for office, and after the sudden death of our former chair, Jack Brown, became the chair. All this, though I'm a Republican at heart. Why do I serve another party? Because by that time I'd heard the word rhino. My primary goal is to serve God, not a party. So I'm not here to compete with the Republicans, but to serve just as Christ came not to be served, but to serve. When a rhino runs for an office, this is an office for which I want to be able, as in the Constitution Party, to offer an alternative. When there's no Republican to run, I want my party to offer a candidate. When the rhinos split the party, I want to supplement the side that stands for true Republican values to support that arm that upholds righteousness, which is simply another way to say right character, right policies, right solutions, and right accountability. That which should rightly expect public trust. When the Republican Party won't stand up for the right things, I will. I really appreciate the Benton County Party because they do stand for what is good. I wish I could say the same about Marion County where I live. I don't find it to be true there. When I asked the former chair there what he was going to do about election integrity, he's like, "What? What issues?" I've learned a lot of things working against the rhinos because I recently discovered, unfortunately, we have the same thing in the Constitution Party. I call them chinos. They're in name only, but they wear their chinos and, they look really good, but sorry. But so for both parties, I do two things. I stand for the principles that matter and work for effective solutions. And let me show you, I'm going to give you a brief advertisement. There's two books that helped. The first of these is called Jesus Was and Is Involved in Politics. Why aren't you, and why isn't your church? And this is a great book because it doesn't just have chapters, it has all these little headings. And every one of these headings is some stupid thing that somebody has said to you at some time about, well, but we're not supposed to. And he answers them clearly and concisely and readably. The guy's amazing. I've met him. He's a import from India. He's a naturalized American. And so he had to study all these documents, to become one. He didn't just get it in school with weird stuff. So when I bought a bunch of these books, he remembered me and called me up and said, "What you going to do with them?" Hey, I'm going to get as many people as I can to read them. And then Personhood, a pragmatic guide to pro-life victory in the 21st century and the return to first principles in politics. This is an interesting book, and it tells about Daniel Becker, who was 30 years the head of Georgia Right to Life. Now, when he started, Georgia was actually less pro-life than Oregon. And by the time he was done, you couldn't get elected a dog catcher without being pro-life. He completely reversed the state. And he did that, in my view, from reading the book, by upholding one simple principle. He didn't say, what's the right thing to do here? What's the Bible say? Instead, he said, what does God have to say about this? And what the Bible says and what God says, those are not the same thing. One of them does not work and one of them does. Can I what? The books around? Sure. Yeah, that's a good idea. How many times has someone told you that to mix Christianity into your politics was political suicide? I've heard that a lot. Daniel proves it's exactly the opposite. But you want to hear about the Judicial Watch suit. Yeah, the Constitution Party is a plaintiff, and so is my daughter Hannah, who, by the way, is the Constitution Party's Benton County chair. Although she's been busy because she's getting a degree in rocket science. She's getting her master's in aeronautics and astronautics. She should be done soon. When they called me, and they called me because, and put Hannah on there because they said, what? I'm just checking because there's nothing showing up. No, that's okay. I have it written on paper. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll come back to that. Okay. We live in Marion County, and they wanted to be able to, Judicial Watch wanted to be able to file suit in Marion County. And so they were especially glad to get us because they said, oh, good, then we can base the suit where we want. And Sunny Danforth is also named, if anybody knows who that is. I don't, except that she lives in Umatilla County and is a member of Judicial Watch, which I guess just means you donated to it. Did I have to do anything? No. I'm not doing anything. The organization would do it all. But when they had the complaint written up with 110 points and sent it to me, I noticed some things that seemed to be missing, and they liked my suggestions. They said, oh, wow, you're good at this. You should be a lawyer. Thanks. That's not, okay, whatever. But they added some stuff, and when they were done, there was 129 points. And they filed the suit, and then they waited, because, you put something in, you get to wait for the court to do something. So they said, well, we're in limbo now. But meanwhile, they lost another case in another state. And they said, oh, that had to do with our standing. So they have done some stuff to try to change the case here to make sure that their standing is okay, whatever that means. That's a legal term I have had some exposure to. I was in jail myself years ago for standing in front of abortion clinics, and so I learned a little bit about how messed up our court system is. But right now it just means they're waiting for the judgment of the court. They've scheduled oral argument on the state's motion to dismiss. Oh, leave us alone. We're doing okay. Yeah, sure you are. For June 18th in Eugene at 10 a.m. I've been invited to attend. I have no idea whether that applies to anyone else, but you're welcome to inquire either of the court in Eugene or of Judicial Watch and find out if you can come.
What's the date?
It's the 18th of June in the court in Eugene, whichever one, at 10 a.m. And I do plan to see if I can get down there, although that's just after both of my daughters graduate. Dr. Doug Frank told me that Judicial Watch never loses these suits, but they did just lose one. I think it was in Colorado. But they believe they'll win this one because of the address of the suit. I wish I could say more, but even if they win, what does that mean? They're waiting for the court, but say they win. Well, it means their costs will be paid. Okay, I did read closely enough to make sure that was true. And the state of Oregon will have to remove some names from their voter rolls. Now, Dr. Frank has told us they did that in California. They removed 1.2 million names. And 4 months later, the rolls were back just like they were before. Not the same names. Oh, no, we didn't put those back. But the process is not changed. And the names the state will likely agree to because of the suit to remove is likely to be far smaller than the real number. You know, Integrity, Ginger and Co. are doing a fantastic job of finding the amount of fraud going on, but it's way more than what the state admits to. But even if they removed them all, what would that do? Well, it might save the state a little money. It would save my party a little money because I'd have less people to write to, which is one of the things I had suggested to Judicial Watch. And they said, oh, that's a good idea. We'll add that. You're being harmed because you have to spend more money. And the Benton County party has to spend more money because of the names that are fraudulent. That's what was the point worth making. But the other thing it won't do is it won't stop those processes. They'll still be able to add them. But what it will do is the case will make it obvious that there's something going on. It will make it obvious that, well, they found fraudulent votes. And if they had had enough data to show, oh, it's much worse than what the state says, if they can prove that will be worthwhile. Because then maybe we can use that to make a difference. Right. And so the fraud has to be proven by canvassing, because the thing we learned from Dr. Frank is what the state says is, oh, the lines are changing a little bit. But what they don't see is them jumping up and down. And the trend is like that. But individually, they're not. Individually, the state removes active voters. Even people that have voted, they remove them from the rolls. And they add in others. And that process is what needs fixed. The lawsuit won't actually enforce more than the law includes, the law that they're pursuing, which is the National Voter Registration Act. That's the basis. It's not about, oh, there's fraud in the state. It's about, oh, the NVRA says this has to be true. You have to maintain voter rolls. But there's more to the whole system than voter rolls. The suit won't allow the changing the law that allows them to issue fraudulent ballots. Being done by machine, they can easily do that kind of fraud During the window, I said I could get a list of the voters, but not within 2 weeks of the election, and not within 2 weeks after an election. During that time is when they can add huge numbers of voters, give them ballots and vote them, and then take them back out. And that's the process that we need to push to have the law changed so that we can make sure that's not happening. And that's why we need to do the other kinds of things to do to fix the system, like going to hand counting, which is why we're excited about the hand counting demonstration. Remember I said there was a point worth remembering? The lawsuit, being a federal case, makes a lot of noise. And that noise is worth capitalizing on. Mm-hmm. While the state has admitted to some fraud, while there's a federal lawsuit going on, while President Trump has also issued an executive order concerning honest election, this is the time to speak up with what to do in regard to our elections. What that means is that you're all missionaries. Like Keith said, you have to all go tell people and make them mad about elections. And say, you got to make this fix. We got to change the law that says we get to vote in one day. You got to change the law that says we get to count by hand. You got to change there's a whole bunch of things. So you need to bring it up. Interestingly enough, I've talked to lots of people who've looked for the voter rolls. Oh yeah, okay, I sent in my $500, or I'm with a party and I sent it in. But usually it can take them 2 or 3 weeks to answer. They're supposed to answer within 10 days. That's what the law says. But when I asked the Secretary of State on the 30th of April this year for statewide voter rolls and for the cancel list, within an hour, I had the statewide voter rolls and an email that says, oh, I don't have a canceled list, but I'll make one up. And 15 minutes later, I had that. So there's something to be said for being on the lawsuit, because well, they sure answer my request really fast. That's really nice. But to return to what I said at first, and that's to say clearly, it's neither time consuming nor expensive to get a copy of the voter rolls. When they say, we got to do it. Don't listen. It doesn't take them an hour to generate something they weren't even asked for before. It only takes a few minutes. So to go back to my first statements, the Constitution begins with we. We must do it. We must do it ourselves, acting as the people. Yeah, the Constitution lays out the rules for electing representatives that serve in our stead, and for many roles it's good. I don't want to be an enforcer of the law. And almost as often, I don't want to be a lawmaker. Others can do that better than I. But passing off our responsibility to act to another requires that we do so circumspectly, choosing those who will represent us, who exhibit good character. He told us how hard it is to find candidates. So if you know someone good, you've got to figure out how to convince them to be a candidate so that we can get people like that. We have to build honest elections. Virtue and honesty are not extra. As one of the founders said, the Constitution is only suitable for a moral and religious, by which they meant Christian, people. The only way to do that is, first of all, to hold honest elections. So honest elections are not, my mother always used to criticize and say, watch what you say, because we're going to be judged for every idle word. Our vote is by no means an idle word. If we're going to be judged for our idle words when we're sitting around having a drink and just chatting, how much more when we're casting votes or talking to people about our elections? So we need to do it ourselves, not trust it to somebody else. It's not difficult. It can be easily handled by the people themselves. We can't vote for the lesser of two evils. So it's time to stand up and say, it's time for us, for me, to do something. So in keeping with that, we're going to show you just how easy it is to do hand counting. So we've got some slides for that. I will wake this computer up. Okay, you got to unlock it now. Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead and ask the questions.
Yes, I've meant to say that, yeah. So
you said the state has admitted that there is fraud. They just don't agree.
The last time I came down here, what was a couple months ago, when Dr. Frank was actually here, and on my way down, I heard an announcement on the radio that the Secretary of State had admitted that they had found that the DMV had registered, 300 illegal aliens. Okay, so they admitted to 300. How many are there really? Well, more like 60,000? Not 300 anyway. There's way more than that. I could probably find 300 in the 5 precincts closest to me.
So they carefully crafted that message to be factually correct.
They only found that many. That's right. They carefully crafted the language. The language is critical. They didn't look for it all. They just looked for the little bit. Oh, well, we found some. Oh, sure enough. We're so sorry. Oh, we'll fix it. Yeah.
And that almost 65,000, that's only back to 2019.
Yes. I talked to Representative Deal and told him some of what Dr. Frank had taught me. And he was like, oh, I don't believe that. It can't be that bad. I said, I'll get some voter rolls and look. So I had copies from past years before I was aware of this whole issue. So I looked at 2016 and 2020. It didn't take me 10 seconds, literally 10 seconds, to prove that Dr. Frank was right. Because I noticed I sorted the 2016 and the 2020 by voter ID, because he had taught me it's not about the totals, it's about the individual ones. And I noticed that there were all kinds of new voters that were in the 2020 that weren't in the 2016, with numbers inserted between the others. Well, I was a software engineer for 40 years. You want to sign up a new voter, you give them take the last number and you add 1, and there we have a new voter. You don't pick random holes. And where did those come from? I discovered that where they came from was from earlier votes. So Dr. Frank later said, yeah, actually, the truth is we found a case where they had marked someone as having voted. And we said, I don't think so, because they hadn't voted in years. And they tracked the person down. She said, I didn't vote. But her signature was verified. Yeah, it was pixel by pixel, the same signature as when she registered to vote in 1962. Sorry, does anybody think her signature was the same 60 years later? No. That's what they do. They're going through the old lists to import people into the new list so that it can continually cycle. And therefore, they always have someone who doesn't even know their vote's being used. And people all the time have told me, wait, I went to vote and they said, no, you already voted. No, I didn't. Well, it's because they already used their vote. And so they had to challenge it individually. And other people that don't show up, when only 14% are showing up, or 16%, the other 84%, they can use those votes. Nobody's going to challenge them. They don't know that they voted. They didn't go in and do it themselves, so there was no contest. So that's the issue. Yes.
When you say they, who are you talking about?
Oh, okay. There's something else I didn't say, and I think it's relevant here. I was for 40 years a software engineer, okay? And I had 2 specialties. One was machine control, including printers, so like move paper through a printer. This is one of my jobs. Another was I did testing on internet cards, okay? And another was data. So the 3 things that are relevant to this case, I understand. So I was testing an internet card the day that my boss announced for the first time in the world that if your computer has a Wi-Fi enabled card on it, we could wake it up from somewhere else, have it do something and shut down, all without any indication. I know about the data, and I was at Portland State when they caught the world's greatest cracker that broke into 100,000 computer systems. So I know about that. So what this means is I recognize that one single programmer, imagine an Iranian guy 40 years ago writing a program, and that program can break into other computer systems, turn them on if they weren't on before breaking in, turn them back off when you're done, and go in and make changes, and that could be used by anyone in the world afterwards. The thing is, what Dr. Frank was able to teach me, and I was able to confirm in seconds, was that state by state, each statewide voter roll is different from the others, but the exact same algorithm is used in them all. So if you go to Benton County in Oregon and analyze its voting records based on the existing voter rolls, you can use that data and say, it's going to be exactly the same in Malheur County and in Baker County and in Curry County and in Lane County, exactly the same, within 0.4% or 0.8%. Like, really? You got to be kidding me. Malheur County is not like this one. Oh, no, but it all works out. Now, that won't work in California, but if you do one county in California, you can do the rest. And if you do one county in Montana, you can do all the rest except for 3. There's 3 counties in Montana where it doesn't work. Those counties don't have internet. Because they don't have internet, you can't mess with them from outside. And their elections actually work. I don't. I just know they have some really remote counties, and there's a couple where, like, what? There's only 12 people live here. Why do we need internet? You know what I mean? So whatever those counties are, I mean, I can ask Dr. Frank. Whatever those counties are, you can't manipulate their votes. The counties themselves.
As a business, there's internet. They chose not to do it. Custer County is one of them.
That's something you check. Custer County. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't clarified that with him, but I just know that, well, come on. Clearly that means it's all being handled from outside. So it means that the algorithm used doesn't relate to the Secretary of State, and it doesn't relate to your county clerks. In every state, you could have an honest Secretary of State and an honest clerk in every county, and there would still be fraud. Because it doesn't require their intervention. There's a standardized algorithm that works, and it works based on some sample from that state, but it works in all states. Yeah. So it's not about, oh, we got to get a new county clerk. It won't fix it. We have to do it ourselves. We have to do it ourselves. We have to maintain the rolls ourselves. We have to count ourselves. We have to insist that the laws change. And
The same way we fixed the election in Afghanistan.
the same way. And the only way to insist, and again, I had the opportunity to drive Dr. Frank around for hours. 17 hours or something with undivided attention. It's fantastic. Okay, this is the thing that I learned. It just takes enough people awake. You can't do it with, oh, but we got to do this. Oh, we got to fix this. We got to change this. You have to take a bunch of people and say, we're here. We're doing it now. We're not listening to you. We're doing it. We have the election data. This is the results. Use that. Oh, no, but I don't care what you have done. We, the people, have done it. That's what it takes. Yes?
So, who is behind this web invasion into our voting rolls? I mean, do we have an entity other than we know that it's, dark state or deep state, whatever that is, but how is it being implemented?
It's being implemented because it exists, And people who know that it exists talk to other people and say, but I can do this for you. It's like any movie you've ever seen. Oh, we have an enforcer. We have the guy that we call, oh, could you please go make sure this happens? We won't look while you do because we know you're going to do it shady. There's that going on. So it could be that some of the people I mentioned are not honest, but it could just be, well, there's a Republican. Oh man, my district in Portland has been a Democrat forever. How am I going to do this? Oh, I got a call and said, hey, I could get you 5,000 votes for $5,000. Wow, that's way cheaper than the campaign I was going to do. Okay. So it's like drugs. The cartels, yeah, and thousands of other people, some of them 10 years old, that are dealers. Oh, I can take advantage of that and make a little money for my... It's just that there is a system, and it doesn't take much temptation to say, well, I want to be a little part of it.
So basically what you're saying is we need to get rid of the machines.
Machines must go away.
Web access, and that's why I'm just doing
Yes.
it because I want to talk to people.
Correct.
Why we need to get rid of vote by mail. Why
Yes.
we need to get rid of the machines. And
Yes, yes.
Very helpful.
Right.
To me, because it's not this person, it's not that person. It's the web itself.
It's the web itself. It's the...
Well, yeah.
I'll go back to what the founders said. The Constitution only works for immoral people. When one immoral person says, oh, there's this other thing I can do, they have to be stopped from doing that. So it's not what Keith was saying, oh, put them all in jail, but stop them from being able to use shady means to accomplish their goals. It's not the people. The people need to get saved. They need to come to Jesus. Okay? And if there would be the kind of revival that would actually change people, that would fix it. That is a solution. That's the best solution, in fact. But that's the kind of thing it takes to change a whole bunch of people to say, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm looking for people in the Constitution Party that will sign a pledge to say, I'm not going to take that kind of money. I'm not going to do those kind of things. I'm going to do what's right. And then I'm going to vote for them. Whether they're going to win or not, that's not up for me to decide. It's for me to say, I'm not going to vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm going to vote for someone who's going to stand up for what's right. Any other questions? Okay, then let's show them with what?
Do you want me to pass these around? Or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And you might have to unlock this again because we didn't use it. Nope, here it is. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Let me see here.
Did the power go off on the monitor on your TV?
We need to.
Maybe it shuts off after inactivity. I don't know.
We need to drag this. Oh, come on. What's the deal here?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Sorry, technical issues.
I wonder if the TV shut off, if the system shut off.
This one? Nowadays, they usually don't even have an on button. You have to have the remote. If the TV shut off. That's something I was meant to check that we were able. And we had put something over there on the.
Can we go get the lady? Yeah, there we go.
Did you get it? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. Now,
Good job.
where is the...
Turn the machine on.
Okay. Yeah, okay, this is what's called the Missouri model. This is what they learned to do in Missouri, and they made it work. And so hand counting, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Linda Rand's has done a good job doing it for us. So, common myths. Hand counting costs too much. It's less accurate. It takes too long. There's not enough people to do it. Oh, and it only works in small counties. These are myths. These are things that are, sorry, but that's not how it works. The truth is it saves time, money. You get the results the same day. You get better transparency, better security in two different ways, and it works in all counties. They won't say, well, okay, but this is the total cost to use voting machines. There's too many different pieces to that. But they will say, well, hand counting will cost even more. Like, really? Based on what? You're not comparing apples to apples. You're comparing the equipment to the people, but there's way more than just the equipment. Yeah, you need judges, additional election judges, to be sure that for hand counting that is correct. But you don't need what and I mean, all this stuff, okay? In hand counting, you need overseers, but only during the election. You need count sheets, but those are all the same, so you can mass produce them. You need count assignments. We'll show you what that is. And you need some Sharpies, of course. But for machines, you need the equipment to buy it or lease it, the software for it, the upgrades for it, additional hardware and peripherals, backup storage, emergency supplies, reusables, ink, toner, paper, USB drives. You know what the most expensive article in the world by weight is? Printer ink. Printer ink costs more by weight than gold, titanium, and platinum. Yeah. You need repair and support technicians, and you need them year-round because you never know when it's going to break. You have to have maintenance agreements written by expensive lawyers, staff training, transportation, electricity and lighting, air conditioning, storage, depreciation, disposal, security, not only for storing the devices so someone doesn't break in and break them, but security so someone doesn't crack in. By the way, you've heard the term hacking. Don't say that to a software engineer. Hacking is good programming. Cracking is breaking into computer systems. You need to validate the equipment. You need to do it before every election to be sure. You need to advertise, licensing, I think I might have said. The ballot layout has to be different. And of course, you got to keep them clean. You got to train the public to mark ballots. You even have to train everyone because they have to do it differently than they used to. Because, well, you got a machine to keep happy. Forget that. Let me just make an X. That's close enough. Oh, the machine won't read an X. Then don't use a machine. And because you have people in different languages, you have to write it in different languages. And you have to do that for every ballot. Instead of talking to a room full of people and say, if you're Spanish, let me explain how this works all at once. So all kinds of things are per ballot or repeated or all year that are not true if you just need to get people to sign up. It only works in small counties. Really, how do you know this? How many people vote at your polling place? It's the size of the polling place, not the county. Votes are counted at the precinct level, and great big counties have lots of precincts. All the precincts in the United States are vaguely the same size. Some of them are bigger in area, but they're all about the same size. 600 to 800 people have registered in that polling place area. On average, 60% turnout, 360 to 480 people. Is there a difference between 360 to 480 votes cast in a large county versus 360 to 480 votes cast in a small county? It doesn't matter the size of the county. It matters where you're doing the counting. In April 2023, in a couple counties in Missouri, they looked at this. There was less than 10,000 registered voters in Osage County, but at one of the polling places, there were 481 ballots cast, and they counted in 5 hours. And the ballots were unformatted. They weren't formatted for machines. In St. Charles County has 292,000 voters, but there's 153 polling places. 83 of those have less than 481 ballots. One team can do that there also. A couple bigger ones, 32 bigger ones, but you can use two teams. They could easily be counted in 5 hours. 5 hours, and then we'd know the results? That means we'd know by 1 o'clock in the morning.
You mean 35 days to count ballots is not valid?
Well, you got to check those machines. I mean, the machines might be flaky, you got to fix them. People are not less accurate than machines either. This circled research and the accusation that conspiracy theorists like us are saying it, when the truth is, you're the conspiracy theorists suggesting that research says hand countings is less accurate and more expensive. You're not backing that up with anything. You don't have anything to say that that's really true. Oh, but there's been a few studies that have actually confirmed this. In Wisconsin, where there's a lot of really small election jurisdictions, some people there hand count and some places use machines. Yeah, but in 2018 and 22, the National Conference of State Legislatures admitted that no one actually tracks election costs, including the machines. A 2024 study, Republic If You Can Afford It, confirms that election costs remain elusive, especially for machines. Hand counting does save money, and officials' claims lack evidence. The officials inflate the hand count costs without substantiation. The Washington Post believes that it opens up the process to more errors, but personally, I don't believe the Washington Post. So, but humans aren't particularly good at repetitive tasks. I was told when I was getting out of high school, oh, you shouldn't be a software engineer because there's lots of repetitive tasks. Really? I don't think so. But you do the same thing all the time. No, it's different all the time. It's always different. Oh, but all you're doing is counting. Yes, with a whole bunch of friends around, having a party. Some of them for different parties, and it's fun to get to know their perspective. Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, there aren't many studies, but the 2012 study said there's a 2% error rate. Races are lost by more or less than that. Well, that's true. If you're entirely hand counting ballots, voters fill out the ballots by paper, and that opens up a lot of room for mistakes. Yeah, does anyone really believe the machines can understand the voter's intent when casting a ballot?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So it says 2% error rate with hand counting, but what's the error rate with machines?
Oh, well, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But the machines are fast. I mean, they're good. Really? How accurate are they? Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I know you're not sure, but can we back that up? Yeah. Okay. Now I got to find my other presentation here. It got closed accidentally. Here, let's see here. I think it's this one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back a little. Okay, now if you come show me what you did to make it go page by page again? I want to start with
corner right here.
Okay, that. Okay, good. That one?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, there we go. Yeah, okay, so this is how it was marked. Well, oh,
no,
sorry, I got to switch
get out
to
of the other presentation, I think. Did he switch? The other's
okay.
a PDF. I don't know what.
How do I get this one over there?
Okay. She says hit escape to get out of that one, the other one. Or
Just to get to a place where you can close it.
Well, I don't want to close it. I want to go back and forth between them. Yeah. Yeah, I just need to put
Escape so you,
I just need to put this window on top. Yeah, come on.
I think go to this one and escape so that you can have it in a smaller window. It goes out of presentation mode. There you
Oh.
go. And now you can pull the other one up.
Pull it up. I don't know what you mean by pull it up. Sorry, we should have practiced this.
I'm confused on the connection between my computer and there.
Yeah, me too.
Where's your other?
Yeah, that's the one I've been doing.
Okay, it's in presentation mode.
Okay. But the other one's a PDF. This is a presentation.
It's up there now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, now it's up there. No. That's just.
the PowerPoint.
Oh,
There you go.
Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. Yeah. So the problem is that the PowerPoint took over. It says I'm in charge here, so kind of like the government, you know. So here's some pictures. Clearly, the people marked the first Harry Truman here on the first one, and there, and that's obvious. But it's not obvious to the machine. You got to train a person, every person, how to mark it so the machine can read that. That's crazy. Why train the people when you could just give it to someone who can already see what's what? The second one, there's nothing in the next one, there's nothing in the box at all. The machine's not going to see that at all. This one here is not even near the box. And this one, I goofed. Okay. Sorry, let me see if I can get rid of this piece. Okay, there we go.
It's gone.
Yeah, here we go. Oops, marked two of them. Well, but this is the one I want. These are not hard to figure out unless you're a machine. Or the write-in one. This is what the machine gets, nothing. So what percentage of the time does this happen? Well, every time you get someone who didn't quite understand the instructions, which is a lot of times. Are the machines accurately telling voter intent? They're not. They're only tallying machine intent. Do I want to think like a machine? No, I do not. Okay? This is the standard ballot. This is what the voters care about, and this is what the machine cares about. But I want some data with my dots. The voter cares about who they voted for, the names, not the dots. You have to modify the ballot to have instructions. And if people don't read the instructions, do you read the instructions when you get something you ordered? Or do you just put it together? The machine just sees a few black marks. They also think, let me see if I can get back here now, because I want to go back to my other one. Okay, good. Yeah. Because of voter intent, Norway and the Netherlands reverted to hand counting in 2017 because of fears of cracking, people hacking in with smart software from the outside. DEFCON's Voting Village exposes machine flaws annually. I can tell you that when I was at Portland State and they were tracking a guy that was cracking into computer systems, they found that he was able, in seconds, to get into almost any computer in the world. Or if it didn't take seconds, he had tools to do it, to make it easy. And constantly they would put out reports of new flaws, and as soon as they put out the reports of the flaws, the crackers would take advantage of that and use them before the people could fix them. So even you can't even tell people about the mistakes because it'll just give invitation for people to break in. In 2022, a CSA advisory confirmed vulnerabilities in Dominion. Well, okay, we know Dominion's bad, And so they got rid of Dominion and sold it to somebody else. Well, okay, now we don't know what it's called because now it's sold to somebody else. Hand counting keeps humans in control. Tally forms, batch numbers, judges' initials, ink colors. Even the fact that you use a Sharpie to track it means that the Sharpie bleeds through the paper, and that bleed through adds authenticity. We know that they voted this because you can look at the back side of the paper and see where the Sharpie bled through. When the forms are transported, multiple judges do so, but tamping is virtually impossible. And you can post the results on social media so everybody can see what's going on right at the time. Without any basis, claims are made that hand-counting election results will take days, weeks, or months. No one will want to wait that long. Oh, the media must have results as early as possible. Really? But we get 50 to 100 ballots per hour per team. The whole ballot, not just one election, but everything on the ballot. You can do 100 an hour. So a few people, you got hundreds. Not only that, but even just recently, in 2025, February 2025, Rasmussen reports that 56% of Americans would volunteer to hand count an election night. That's a lot higher than I thought it was going to be, but you only need less than 3%. So it's not a problem with finding people. 56% is a lot bigger than 2.96.
And that's volunteer.
Volunteer. That's volunteer. That's not paying for them. That's volunteer. So if everything else they debunk is debunked, their fallback position is, oh, but too few people work the polls now. We'll never find enough people to count. And we say, we'll teach them how. So let's teach you how. So I'm going to let Jeanie come up and do that. That's her specialty. So she'll plug her computer in.
Not yet. I'll tell you when.
Okay. Here, I'll
Sorry.
Turn this off temporarily because I'm putting it in there.
Samantha's planned on being the Vanna here. So
Yeah.
Sorry to run you a little late, guys. I'll try to run through these pretty quick. Oh, yeah, thank you. I would have forgotten that. It's helpful.
Here, I'll get this out of your way.
Ah, come on. All right. So I'll run through my slides really quick. Sorry to be so long today. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about hand counting. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. Nope. No. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we've already heard from Roger, and I do want to acknowledge Samantha is going to be passing out some handouts here quickly. But a lot of our material came from Linda Rands and Mike Lindell, Cause of America. Also, I took some information from Jeff Eager on the Oregon Roundup. So the things that I'm going to present. So in the last 60 years before Oregon voted for mail-in voting, Lynn County Republicans also don't think there's anything wrong with mail-in voting. So that's why we're over here in Benton County. So glad to help out here. So, but in the 60 years before we had mail-in voting, we had Democrats 17 years in the governor's seat, and the Republicans, it was 43 years. Since then, we've had Democrat governor for 37 years and the Republicans for 0. So I'd encourage you to go out and look at lindellplan.com. There was a video I was going to show there. It's just a short 2-minute clip. A lot of you have already seen it. And everybody, can you hear me okay, or do I need to talk close to this thing? Okay. So out there's a 2-minute video that shows all the Democrat opposition to ballot in 2005, 2009, all of them being against the fallibility of machines. So anyway, I encourage you to go look. I really have followed Mike Lindell. I've been to the summit a couple of years in Missouri. I really appreciate the hard work and his fortune that he's put into fighting this problem. So Sean Smith, Colonel Sean Smith is a frequent speaker, works for Lindell, and he says if the average citizen cannot verify voters' ballots and counts for themselves, then the system deprives them of their natural and constitutional right to Republican government by their consent, in person, paper, hand count, period. He was he was basically an intelligence officer, and he said, I remember the best quote I heard him say was that we ought to hire the election software and hardware companies to do our Department of Defense because they're the only machines that haven't been hacked. Anyway. When citizens blindly trust third-party black box computer systems, algorithms, and proprietary software to count their votes, our elections become vulnerable to everything from bugs and errors to intentional malicious programming. Again, one day, one legal vote, paper, in person, no machines, valid voter ID. So when I was working at the return to hand counting booth at the Oregon State Fair, a couple of years ago, this lady came up. She says, "Oh, what's this booth about?" And I said, "Well, we're showing how to do hand counting here, return to hand counting." She goes, "Oh, that doesn't pertain to me." And I said, "Oh, another one of these non-voter people, you ran into a few." And I go, "Oh, how come?" And she goes, "Well, because I'm from England." And I went, "Oh, cool." I said, "I want to ask you some questions, So I engaged with her and said, "So tell me about elections there. Do you vote in person or, do you do it by mail?" Or, "Oh, we vote in person." I said, "Where at?" "Oh, we go down to the library in my area." And I said, "That's really cool." I said, "Is it all in just one day?" "Oh, yeah, one day of voting." And I said, so tell me, how long does it take to count the votes?" "Oh, sometimes when it's a really long, contested election, it can go until 1 or 2 in the morning."
Oh, no.
I love this story. I told it to our county clerk in Lynn County, and she just burst out laughing, because she's not one of those fan of a 35-day, and then a weeks after kind of person. So anyway, countries that vote with voter ID, this was also a really cool graphic that I grabbed a hold of, thinking that's kind of a neat picture there, how silly that they require voter ID. That, I had to show my ID as a 70-year-old to buy some lemonade that had some alcohol in it at the store, so that's just crazy to me that we don't have to show our ID to vote. I found this article last night and I loved it, so I plugged it in because I was actually looking for how many countries rejected the machines. And I've heard France doesn't, I've heard there's a number of countries. So I found this article and I plugged some statements out of it. 3 years and 51 million pounds later in April, I think that's pounds, right? Am I right? Ireland scraped
Euros, yeah.
Scrapped the entire initiative of fancy touchscreen voting machines. Why? Because of high costs, it would have taken another 28 million, fallibility of electronic voting machines, and then there was some lists of some other reasons. So almost after 2 years of deliberations, Germany's Supreme Court ruled that e-voting was unconstitutional because the average citizen could not be expected to understand the exact steps involved in the recording and the tallying of votes. I was shocked at what I learned when I got involved with election integrity in 2021, and I know that everybody else that's delved into it has been shocked as well. Where did this article come from? It was written in 2009 by Newsweek.
That's interesting because,
Yeah.
It's interesting because Germany got in trouble right after the 2020 election for having servers there.
Well, maybe I don't know if they went back, but this was an article from Newsweek, so.
No, they hacked into our elections.
Oh, they hacked into ours.
They used them for their elections.
Right, yeah.
They used the servers for ours.
Yeah. So I worked a week in 2020 at the elections office. I was one of those temporary employees, paid minimum wage. That was kind of interesting. And what I found was that I was one of the youngest ones in the room. So there was ladies in there that I swear should not ought to be working at all. They were so. I had a manufacturing company, and repetitive motion is kind of a big deal. And when you're in your 80s and can't hardly walk up to the table, but they had been. Most of them had. A lot of them had actually volunteered back when it was at the precinct level. They talked about that. So it was actually really fascinating to see the culture there, because there was friends. They were people that had been doing this for 30 years, and they were very passionate about their civic duty. And they were there volunteering, but they also talked about the fact that the Democrats and the Republicans and the Independents and the Constitution are all sitting at the table together. They become friends. They weren't adversaries. And I thought that was really a sad thing that we've lost as well. And so anyway, I encourage you to go out to this website, handcounting.com. This is where Linda Rance has put a lot of information. There's a 60-page manual there. I have to confess, I haven't read the thing. I think it's too long-winded. Roger and I have talked about helping out with a shorter version. But anyway, there's a lot of really great information out there, so please feel free. So what we're going to do what we're going to talk about, he's already alluded to, that really doesn't take that much to do. We're not going to set up with 4 to a table and do that kind of exercise. I'm just kind of going to show you how to do bingo. So Vanna, or Samantha, is going to pass out everybody a sheet and a pen that you can use to practice. So what we're going to end up doing is dabbing. You don't have to fill the circle, because we're not going to be counting by machine. We just need to dab. We're just doing a mark and going down through the list. If you'll notice, though, the list actually goes, yeah, of course I didn't put that screen up there. The way that we're going to tally these is it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So as you go down through the list, you're going to be counting right, following the numbers. So the way you dab is when we call that number, we'll dab 1, and then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6. So it's just a quick dab. So what we have here is that we would on a ballot, you would have here, you have 5 choices for senator. So you have number 1 is James Hirson, number 2 is Andrew Carlson, number 3 is Margaret Billington, number 4 is Wes Rem. I'm only going to count it Rem because I don't know how to say his name. And 5 is fill in the blank. So as I call the name and the number, the name, and the in Missouri, office, you have to also call out the position they're running for. Then you'll dab that column. So, for example, the first one I'm going to call is 1, James Hirson, Senator. A little dab will do ya. I call this bingo. I've actually gone to bingo where they have 6 cards out. I can't keep up with that many. My brain doesn't work well with that. Too much going on. But we can do 1. So, all right. So everybody got their first dab down? Okay. 2, Andrew Carlson, Senator.
Are we in the second column, or are we? She said 2. So there's 2.
So you're following the column.
But by 2, she means this. This is 2. This is vote number 1 in column number 2. Yeah, vote number 1 in column number 2. Candidate 2 gets 1 vote. Candidate 2, second vote, third. Candidate 4, first vote.
Didn't hear me say what?
Column.
Yeah, candidate 2, that's the first vote for them.
So you should have a dab in column 1, and you should have a dab in column 2. Pardon?
The candidate number that she's reading, that's the column you choose, and you dab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as that number is called.
So we go in order. So if you guys have any questions about the order of things, so if she calls a name, which is candidate 1, so you're gonna fill in the first one that she calls, the second one that she calls will be if it's
that
one,
candidate.
will
So you're
be
just
the
looking at the number I'm calling.
Yeah.
The name in the senator position is only kind of give you time, right? So we have to call out 3 things for one dab. So we're calling out the number, which is column 1, James Hearson, and then the senator. So then I called column 2, so you pick out the second column, Andrew Carlson, senator. Okay, everybody got it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
each one
let
of
me-
those is number 1 because that's the first dot that you're gonna dot. So it goes in order 1 to 2.
Let me inject something here. As you've seen, it can get confusing, okay? So this is how this works at a table. There's 4 people, and these 2 are both keeping track. They both have these. And these 2 are watching them to make sure, oh, wait, wrong column, wrong candidate column, wrong dab.
They're
and
verifying.
to make sure they get it right. And then when they finish a batch of 100, then they swap roles, and these 2 dab and these 2 watch. And that's why you have 4 people at a table. 2 doing this in pair, so that you have 2 sheets to compare with. Did they come out the same? And did you get all the right? And these 2 people making sure that when she says candidate 3 and gives a name, you're using the middle column and dabbing the next number back and forth. If she says candidate 5, you're using this column and dabbing back and forth. So the candidate number and column, that's the big number at the top. The numbers on here, you just go left, right, and farther down.
Exactly. Thank you for that word. It's tallying. So the first one you tally is number 1. The second one you tally is number 2. The third one you tally is number 3. So you just keep going in order.
Okay. All right. So everybody should have a dab in column 1 and a dab in column 2, right? Everybody?
Number 1 in each of those columns.
Yes. You only have 1 dab in each of those columns. All right. So the next one is 1, James Hearson, senator. 4, Wes Rem, senator. 3, Margaret Billington, senator. 1, James Hearson, senator. 2, Andrew Carlson, senator.
Yes.
1, James Hearson, senator.
See, and it isn't necessary to mark.
3,
All you have to do is put it.
Margaret Billington, senator. 3, Margaret Billington, senator. 1, James Hearson, senator. 4, Wes Rem, senator.
Excuse me one second. I'm going to interrupt for just 1 second. I noticed she was filling them out. These are not machine readable. You don't have to fill out the oval.
You just
have
dab
to
them.
put a dot. Someone's going to look at this, and all you're going to do when you're done is look at the last number and subtract 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see it as 12, and so 11's dabbed, so there was 11 votes. Okay? You don't have to make it so that it doesn't have to be precise. Just make sure there's a dot in the
So
square.
if you have a felt,
Yeah, if you have a
like
felt, all you got to
bingo.
do is
That's why she
touch
says
it.
bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 1. Let's only have 3 more. So I said 1, James Hearson, senator. 2, Andrew Carlson, senator. 5, write-in, senator. All right, everybody, this takes a couple of times to kind of get the rhythm of it. This is just to show you how, if you look at the last one that you covered, so like in column 1, you should have 6 dabs. 7 is not dabbed. So you would write a 6 down at the bottom. This isn't a... So then in column 2, you should have 3 dabs, because 4 is not covered. So you have 3 dabs. You would mark 3. So the correct answer for what I just read off was 6, 3, 3, 2, 1, for a total of 15.
How many got that?
I was going to hand out bingo prizes, but I didn't make it to the dollar store. So anyway, just FYI, it's not, like I said, at this time, you would have already had somebody at your table say, honey, you don't have to fill in the circle. Or, I mean, these people, when I worked there, was pretty fun on how you don't use your phone while you're sitting at the table. Oh, okay, wish you'd told me that earlier. Anyway, so that's just kind of a quick overview. We aren't really training you to start elections tomorrow, but we just wanted to show how easy it can be and how you get a rhythm and a flow, and you kind of go back and forth. So this is what a ballot result might look like, where you have all these different races and all these different columns. Okay, so just saying.
So that was one race. If the ballot had 8 races, the Senate, the president, okay, if it had 8 races, you could still go through that whole exercise. Well, how long did this take us? About 9 minutes?
Yeah.
Go through that whole exercise for each one of those races. And with a little practice and no interruption, you have counted 100 complete ballots. That's what we're talking about by 50 to 100 ballots in an hour. So you do this for an hour. Okay, I'm tired. Give someone else a chance. But, and it's obvious who won. You have the numbers right in front of you. Okay, there's the winner. You know that as soon as you're done with the last step on the last batch of ballots, you're finished.
I have just a few more. I know we're over time, but I have just a few more things I'd like to say on other election news that is happening. Like Samantha already talked about with the in-vote by mail. We've all been watching for that. Mainly, that's a great way for, again, it's an educational tool. Judicial Watch, educational tool, return to hand counting. Those are all things that we can help get people engaged in how we take back our elections. So actually, the Secretary of State just issued the title yesterday. And so, yes, it's one step closer. June 2nd is the deadline for comments on the title. Just very interesting to read the opposition statements, like from the ACLU. That was like, oh my gosh, how many words can you use saying we don't want to do this? Pages and pages and pages. So this petition will be for the November 26th election, but it really helps our grassroots endeavor, because we need to get a hold of a lot of people that would help with elections if we can get rid of mail-in voting and go back to hand counting. So please watch votebymail.com to keep updated. She passed out the cards. That's awesome. For those that have been involved in election integrity, Shamia Fagan, when she fell down in the end of 2023, in the spring of 2023, we were all saying there is a miracle, there is a God. So in Oregon. So, but just so you know, in case you haven't followed, the U.S. Department of Justice, they dropped the case was dropped by the Biden administration. And then our Oregon DA decided not to charge any file any charges. Oregon Bar reinstated her license and to be an attorney. She has 3 cases against her. We're not real optimistic that the bar is going to do anything about that. But the ethics committee just came out with only a $1,600 fine. So Oregon Roundup has a really great article on that, on how corrupt conflict of interests, break the law, bad integrity can net you with just a $1,600 fine. Yeah.
So, is there a possibility or a chance that they gave her a deal for her singing, maybe?
That'd be awful nice, wouldn't it? So I don't know, and I know there's been a lot of people trying to get the attention of the Trump administration also to push forward on that. I think the fact that the Democrat Party and Kotek threw her under the bus so quickly indicates that there's a whole lot more to that story. So the other thing that has been really great news that I heard just this week is that there was a modernization project. Some of us in election integrity have been following that. I talked about it in January of last year at a meeting. And so there was a project that one of our people has really worked hard on. And he had gone in and seen this report by Gardner down at the bottom. Gardner, anytime there's a project in Oregon that's over a certain dollar amount, I think it's $5 million, why then they have an independent audit done on it. Gardner was the independent auditor. So they went through and looked at what were the risks of this project for it to be implemented in November of 24 for our elections vote with no ink and BPRO. So what happened is, if you look at these squares, prior to their audit, or their first audit showed all these red on the left-hand corner, left side. The project was in serious trouble in all these points. And then after they slipped the date saying, no way we can be ready for 2024, why then they changed to green and yellow just simply because it was shoved out. And so what Wally was saying was that it was going to be something to really watch. Well, all that they really did was remove everything from the website so you couldn't watch what was going on. Anyway, we just found out that this project has been canceled, and it's estimated $13 million has been wasted on no ink. Pennsylvania got rid of it real quick. They lost money on it as well. They were going to do no ink. And but there's work being done by people to try to find out how much those costs are. I know I talked with our county clerk, who said it was a disaster. She was one of them that raised her hand and said, we can't implement this for November of 24. It's just not ready. And so she was, I reached out to her yesterday saying, hey, I heard, what do you know? She goes, I got the email this morning and it says, there's no official statement yet from the Secretary of State's office. I'll let you know when I hear. But she also said, I have an opinion. And I thought, I bet you do. So anyway, I look forward to knowing a little more from our county clerk. Another really great thing that I saw was fun out of Oregon Roundup was that Blobby died. Another $350,000 government spokes blob. He died, passed away 1 year old in Salem, following a brief career extolling the joys of voting in Oregon. He was born in 23 by Secretary of State Shipman and a Portland design firm, Happy Lucky. So he was described as genderful and exclusive. Blobby made an immediate mark on social media, insisting while hiking, canoeing, and wielding a lightsaber, voting in Oregon feels good. If any of you saw those commercials, it was ad nauseum.
So I wonder if they're going to bring back the voter toolbox that was there before they did this. Because it had some
good.
No, they're going to get a $350,000 contract.
Yeah.
Maybe some new name for it, and then they're going to give it back to you a new name.
They're not sure, but they think our new Secretary of State took it down as quickly as he got into office. So rest in peace, Blobby. The other thing that was great, of course, is the March 25th executive order that we're hoping will put some meat behind election integrity here in Oregon. Help us out. Clarence Thomas said that elections enable self-governance only when they include processes that give citizens, including losing candidates and their supporters, confidence in the fairness of the election. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing, and it's not they the people, it's not I the people, but it's we the people. And that's it.
I just remembered something I'd like to bring up real quick. A few years back, Oregonians got really sick of people running for office in Oregon outside money and passed a law to stop that. I think it was 1909. And recently it was 23, I think it was challenged, and the Oregon Supreme Court said absolutely it should stand. That's how we want it. Well, the trouble is, earlier this year, at least 2 different quo warranto suits. Quo warranto is Latin for why do you think you should get to? Suits were filed against the governor and against Ron Wyden that said you took a whole bunch of outside money, one of them millions, okay, and therefore you shouldn't be able to maintain your office. And the penalty for that is to not be able to run for office for as long as the one you just ran for. The trouble is, the lawyer that filed the cases was arrested Thursday on trumped-up charges, and separate from that, they took his 5 kids away because the neighbor across the street wanted the foster money, so she has taken the 5 kids to the coast, and they won't give the kids back until this incredibly harassed family whose husband is in political prison will find a 4-bedroom house to live within a few miles of where they are from in Gresham. So if anyone here knows anyone or has any contacts up in the Portland area who can say, oh yeah, I can help, I know a place where they could rent. They need at least a 4-bedroom apartment or house to rent for their kids. And then they can get their kids back. Because there's no reason, I know this couple really well, there's no reason for them to have taken the kids away. So if any help on that would be great. That's needed urgent right now.
There's 2 other patriots at risk on that one.